My name is Sebastian Roberts. I started working with Bavubuka Foundation in 2006. It was a really empowering experience for me. It changed my life. I was actually able to affect a lot of other young youth around the world, and I gained a lot of opportunities out of it. So it was a really inspirational phase in my life, and it still continues to move me towards this day. So you know, it's one of those beautiful things that I'm just happy that I was able to be a part of. Getting involved with Bavubuka just seemed like the natural thing to do. It was the right thing to do at the time, you know what I mean? There's so much happening in my life and a lot of negativity around me, and I realized that there was a lot of other avenues that I had available to me to turn some of that negative energy into positive energy. And I was able to do that on the other side of the globe. When I was 17, I got to go to Gulu in northern Uganda. It's actually getting a lot of media recently. A lot of misconceptions about that place, so I got to learn a lot about the reality of the situation in other countries, learn about culture. I was able to, when I first got there, just, you know, hang out with kids who were able to teach me a lot, you know, just hanging out with kids and playing basketball and soccer and, you know, teaching them whatever little bits I could. They were teaching me a lot, like I said. And, you know, through that process, I began realizing that I needed to give back more because I'd actually, you know, benefited so much from that situation. And so in the long term, it ended up progressing to a place where I wanted to do tournaments and online conferences and music, and all of these things ended up happening, sort of setting the standard for me in my life to follow a particular principle of how to affect people and how to live my life in that positive energy. Basketball was always my pride and passion, so I always thought, you know, that was kind of the avenue that I was going to follow. So when I got to Africa and I realized that soccer was the most commonly played and most loved game, it sort of changed my perspective and made me realize, you know, that these kids were playing soccer because it was the only game that was available to them. No hoops, basketball hoops, or tennis courts, or, you know, golf courses that any of these kids can afford to play on. We had 16 teams actually all together in the first We Got Skillz Cup. It was kind of a trend-setting event because nobody had been doing competitions or soccer tournaments that, you know, were actually for the youth who needed it the most. It was cool to be able to do this huge tournament with all of these different age groups and all of these children, which are the most talented young athletes, you know, potentially in the world. And so that's kind of, you know, what I think set it apart, was that we were able to have this interactive environment where people were sharing and learning, but also being able to compete and at the same time not, you know, have any negative connotation attached to them. Tony, this kid is unreal. You can go to the We Got Skillz YouTube channel and just check out this kid when he's 16 years old doing some tricks. It's almost like the ball was attached to him. Like it was, you know, not an external extremity, but something that was a part of him. So I saw this in this young kid, and he blew me away because I'd never seen a kid his age with that much athletic ability. You know, everything from being tall and being able to jump to being able to have all the ball handling skills. He was quite literally the best 16-year-old soccer player I've ever seen. Coming from, you know, a ghetto in Kampala, in the inner city. And so he was able to actually influence a lot of other young people through his process of growing and learning. And at one point he actually developed his skill to such an extent that we took him to Rwanda, and he was able to join the U20 team of Rwanda when he was 16 years old. So, you know, and still he's practicing getting his skills. Of course, we're trying to find a scout for somebody to help this kid because I've never seen anything like it. And it's just a constant struggle. A lot of these kids don't have those opportunities. We could go into depth in dialogue about how all of these young people are winning tournaments, international tournaments, beating some of the best teams in the world at U14. But by the time they get to 18 years old, there's too many other circumstances which are preventing them from actually furthering their athletic career. So what happens is you got a U14 team that's the best in the world, and when they turn 15, 16, 17, they're working at a stand on the side of the road to make enough money to eat, because that's obviously what's most important, is their survival. And it's very difficult to make a livelihood in a country where 55% of the youth are under 18 years old. There's not very many jobs, and a lot of people are struggling, and there's a lot of suffering, of course, as a result of that. But Uganda is a place full of young, talented individuals. The problem is that none of these kids really have the facilities or the items to really further their cause and to make them the best athletes that they can be. A lot of these kids are playing on teams that would compete at an international level, but the finance is stopping them, as well as the ability for them to actually travel and to see different places. So we've always supported the greater tournaments in East Africa, and also now we're working on sending them across the seas to play in different tournaments to show people just how talented these kids are. And I think that's one of the biggest problems that's facing a lot of the countries that are just developing right now, is that they don't really have the resources, the facilities, soccer balls, soccer cleats. Most of these kids are playing in bare feet on fields that have glass shards, and they're playing all day in the sun, no water, just because they love the game that much. So I would have to say the best moment that I was able to be a part of is at the end of the We Got Skillz Cup. One of these teams, they won the championship for U16, and pictures. It's the old adage of pictures can be 1,000 words, or better than 1,000 words. Really played true, because I have a picture of this team of kids, and every single one of them has this exuberant look on their face. And I think in that moment I realized how deeply this truly did impact people. I mean, when I first started it, I thought it was cool and everything, and I thought it was helping in a small way, but I don't think I ever really fully comprehended what this could do for somebody on a developmental level, to give them an opportunity to not just compete, but to actually spend all of this positive time with teammates. To me, that was the most beautiful moment, because I got to see in one picture 12 kids with humongous smiles on their faces, and I'd never seen a picture like that before. Usually there's somebody like kind of like looking off to the side or something, but in that moment, everybody was present. And I think that was the most beautiful part to me, to see that in that moment we all escaped from the physical reality that sometimes gets us down, and we were able to enjoy a single moment together where we were all liberated and free. Tosca. If you're supporting We Got Skillz, you're supporting kids on a ground level. You're supporting them not only to further their athletic career, but also to take them to the next level in terms of their social skills, their education, and you're supporting people like Coach Bavubuka. This guy is amazing. He's been coaching in Uganda for about twice as long as I've been alive. It's a beautiful story, and I could probably write a novel just on that guy alone, because of all the incredible sacrifices he's made, just so that he can help younger people who are going through the same situations he was going through when he was younger. And again, instead of letting that negativity suck him in, he strove against all of those energies and actually made it into a very beautiful thing, where now he actually is adopting young kids off of the street to put them into a program where they can play soccer, they can get educated, and they can do numerous other things in terms of social development, which would normally not be available to them if it wasn't for Coach Bavubuka. So with that being said, if you can even give one small donation of even a used bit of sports equipment, it's going to actually make a humongous impact in Africa. And I'll end by highlighting this story, which really changed my life. When we went to Gulu, I mean, we were seeing people who were struggling with the most unbelievably precarious problems, and and going through horrendous experiences. And one of the things that we did was we gave out a lot of sports equipment when we were there. And I remember giving one soccer ball to a young man. So we left, and of course, you know, I went back to Canada, not really, you know, obviously enjoying my experience, but not thinking too much about it. And even at one point probably forgetting that who I'd given these things to, some of these items. So we came back the following year, and for some reason, I don't know how, this kid found us. And he had no cell phone, no other, you know, means of contacting us, but he sought us out and found us, and he said, "Do you remember that soccer ball you gave me?" And we were like, "Of course, you know, of course, that's what we were here for." And he said, "I want you to come see something." So we followed him. We took a long journey way out into the middle of the bush, and sure enough, there's a soccer pitch there. And on this soccer pitch, he had 4 teams that he had been training for an entire year with one soccer ball. So if that is what one soccer ball can do, you can just imagine what a sports facility would actually do for some of these young kids. I'm positive that you'd see people playing in FIFA, people playing in the NBA, coming from Uganda just because they now have the resources to take their athleticism to the next level. So big ups to Benjamin Newman and Bavubuka for keeping the movement alive. It's a beautiful thing. I'm really happy to see that a lot of other people have been able to latch onto this and be able to grow it even more. I'm just amazed at all of the incredible things that have spawned out of this one simple idea, and I'm looking forward to the future, to being a part of it in numerous different ways, and seeing all the other influences of people who are going to almost definitely come through and see what sports is doing for young people in Africa, and particularly Uganda. Yeah, man, so we got skills, dude. Honestly, we all got skills. And those skills are meant to be shared. So you have to use your voice because we got voice, you know? And when you put those two things together, we start to realize that in order for us to be successful, we gotta have each other's backs. So we got your back, man. If you wanna help us, we wanna help you. If you wanna help those kids are gonna help you. You'd be amazed what you could learn from just going and stepping outside of yourself, doing something new, doing something different. You know, you do have skills, you are important, you just have to step outside of the box and see it in a different light. You know, come and check out our soccer tournaments, support us online. If you can give anything, of course it will be greatly appreciated, not only by me or anybody else in the organization, but truly by the youth who are receiving it.
Hey yo, I might speak Luzungu, but you know my name is not Mazungu. Class City keeps it blazing like Chiyungu. Lukazungu flow, leaving haters with Basungu. It's mad love when I'm roaming in the streets. Catch me around the corner, always cruising on the boat.